As Claude sighed and put the notepad and pen behind the bars, Suki handed him a list of supplies, neatly written in her own handwriting. They were more common materials than I thought. Things like magic ink and herbs. This might be a little difficult to achieve. On the day of the full moon, before dawn, he was told to collect the dew from the grass. Claude counted the days until the full moon, crossing his fingers. He sighed in relief as he realized there were only a few days left. The hardest part would be solved soon, so it seemed like he might have everything ready before the Duke and Princess arrived. "Your Excellency, please come quickly. I really want to see it." Claude swallowed back his tears as he heard the yellow cat purr as he ate inside the prison. "Ugh, how cold it is." Laura, who had gotten out of the carriage, was rubbing her arms, complaining about the cold despite being covered in fur coats. In the south, the weather was gradually improving, heralding the beginning of spring, but in the north, it was still a harsh winter. "It doesn't seem so cold at this point." Of course this didn't apply to Isla. It wasn't particularly cold, so this kind of weather was bearable. "I told them to light a fire in advance, so it will be warm inside." "Come in and rest, Isla," Roderick said, wrapping a warm coat around her shoulders. But Isla had no intention of entering right away. "Excuse me, can I go to the stables to check on Wind? I'll take a look too." She wanted to thank the horse that had worked so hard to bring her there, and since it was her first time in the territory, she wanted to take a look. "Then let's do it. It would be nice if we took a walk together. Then I'll go in first to take care of the ladies' bathroom." "I just want to go in because it's cold," Laura said to herself with a thoughtful expression. Although she felt a little uncomfortable, Isla went out with her father to explore the village. Whatever the reason, it was nice to be able to spend some time alone with him without Laura's supervision. "Aren't you cold?" "It would be a disaster if you caught a cold," asked Roderick, who was walking slowly, at Isla's pace, with a worried voice. "I'm not well. The truth is that I don't feel cold. In fact, the air is sweet and pleasant. Of all the seasons, winter is my favorite." When he responded with a radiant smile, his father's face flushed red. He seemed a little excited. "Oh really?" As expected from a Weihschaffen. "In fact, this dad loves winter too." "You already said it before." "I love winter because I'm from Weihschaffen," Isla responded with a shy smile. A puzzled expression crossed Roderick's face. "I? How odd. I haven't mentioned that I like winter either." He covered his mouth with a bewildered expression. It was not in this life, but before his regression, that he had this conversation with his father. She was so shocked by her own mistake that her heart was pounding as if it were going to burst out of her chest. He couldn't even understand how he had made such a mistake. I confused it with something else." Isla took a moment to compose herself before speaking. She wasn't sure if Roderick would accept such a flimsy excuse, but he kept trying to salvage the situation. "Yes, that could be possible." Roderick nodded understandingly and patted his daughter on the back. But his thoughtfulness couldn't stop the awkwardness that reigned between them. "Well, let's go in. You have work to do tonight, right? You should rest a little beforehand so you can take care of the rest of your schedule." "Yes, father." After their silent walk, they finally entered. They had lit a fire in the fireplace, so the air inside the villa was surprisingly warm, unlike the cold outside. After a brief rest from fatigue by washing in the hot bath that Laura had prepared, it was time for dinner. It had been a long time since she had eaten properly, as she was so busy moving around that she usually only ate snacks, but Isla couldn't concentrate at all. It was because she was worried about a mistake she had made in front of her father, so she kept watching his expression. "What's wrong, Isla? Don't you like food?" "Oh, no. It's delicious, father." But Roderick didn't seem surprised by his mistake, as if he acted the same. Well, anyone can make that kind of mistake. Common sense tells me that no one would think that someone could go back in time and live again. Only then did Isla sigh and focus on her food. He still felt bad about the stupid mistake he made, but weren't there more important things to worry about right now? Because soon they will be able to break the curse. Isla tried to shake off the guilt and focus on dinner. And an hour later. Laura covered her mouth with her hand and yawned loudly. It was already his 5th consecutive yawn. It seems that the medicine is starting to take effect. Isla looked at her, calculating the time. She had mixed a slow-acting sleeping pill with her dinner, so it seemed like she was starting to fall asleep. Laura, can I go to bed early today? I'm very tired. When Isla said this, pretending to yawn, Laura nodded without hesitation. Yes, it's true. They said we still have a little more to get to the territory. I think I should rest too. Laura complained about the kind of farm it was in such a cold, harsh, rural place and left the room. He seemed to be heading to his bedroom, which was right next to Isla's. And after a while, there was a knock on the door. Isla. Roderick's voice came from the other side of the door. He nervously opened the door and welcomed his father. His uncle, Isidore, was with him. Laura seems to be sleeping soundly. It gets much colder at night, so make sure you bring a coat. This way, he said as he put Isla's coat on. She followed her father with a nervous expression. They carefully checked the surroundings several times to make sure there were no signs of life, then left the building and headed straight to the backyard. This was because there was a hidden passageway that led to the basement. As he walked down the old stone steps, he soon came to a dark underground prison. Claude. When Roderick called his name, the knight guarding the door with a nervous expression turned his head. Your Excellency. It's finally arrived. How much? Claude, who was about to grab his boss and tell him how much he had suffered, gave a quick bow as he realized that Isla and Isidore were at his side. Enough with greetings, how are the preparations going? Isidore asked, looking around the prison with an anxious expression. Oh, I have prepared everything you asked for. Please come in. Claude opened the door to allow the group to enter the prison. Isla entered the prison with a tense expression. It was a ritual she had already performed before returning, and she knew it was nothing special, but somehow she felt frozen. But seeing what was unfolding inside the prison, Isla forgot her tension and stared. A middle-aged woman in a black robe was lying on her side on the bed, petting a yellow-striped cat. His expression was confused and relaxed, as if he were floating in the clouds, and his black clothes were covered with yellow and white fur here and there. Hey, when did you get here? It's a little uncomfortable when you come here without any sign of people. Suki, who had her bare face exposed and was not to be shown to others, suddenly stood up from the bed and screamed. I brought my daughter back, so now you must keep your promise. Perform the ritual to break the curse. Roderick spoke with a stern expression. It was the first time Isla had seen her father with such ferocity. Yes, the promise of this great body is as valuable as gold, so I must fulfill it. But first, shouldn't you release this terrible thing? Suki said, raising her doll. It was the wrist from which the magical bindings that Isidore wore hung. Ah, I see. I need to free her to break the curse. When Isidore looked at Roderick as if wondering what to do, he looked embarrassed. Roderick looked at Suki in disbelief. How could he trust that image and break the magic seal? He wondered what would happen if he did. As Roderick and Isidore silently exchanged words, Suki opened her mouth as if offended. You don't trust me that much? What makes me so suspicious? To his question, Roderick responded as if it seemed absurd to him. You ask us because you don't know, right? No matter where you looked, she couldn't be trusted. Every movement, every action, every word. Although she wanted to retort, it was true that it was quite embarrassing, so Suki could only scratch her head. If you don't believe me, go ahead. Suki walked over to the bed, picked up the fat cat, and offered it to Roderick. I'll leave you my cat. Let's say he's a hostage. Hey. In reality, he is not a human, so he is not a hostage, but a trick, but Pumpkin, who suddenly became a hostage, let out a helpless cry as if he didn't know what was happening. It's my only family. Still don't believe me?